after winning the flag, I haven't really seen a lot of media talking about how much sustained success this Collingwood group can have. Can they become one of the more dominant teams of this modern era? Well, like I say sometimes on this channel, if no one else wants to talk about it, I will. So let's dissect where we think this Collingwood team can go in the next few years and what kind of legacy this particular group under Craig McRae can forge for themselves. Subscribe to join the Daz Talks Footy family, like the video if you like the video, and let's get into it. Now, in my opinion, there are three types of Premiership teams, and two of them are going to be really easily identifiable. The first one being the One Cup wonders. So you're thinking of your West Coast of 2018, your Bulldogs of 2016, Sydney 2012, yada, 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 and you can work your way back as far as you need to. And we've got our Dynasty teams, thinking of in reverse chronological order. You've got your Richmonds, your Hawthorns, your Geelongs, and your Brisbanes when you're talking about your 21st century teams. But there's also a second category, something that fits in the middle, that I am going to call Cup collectors, which is two flags in a short period of time. Because when we think of the Dynasty teams, Richmond won 3. Hawthorn won 3. Yes, they did win theirs in 2008, but that particular group, I would put in the One Cup wonders, because it did take 5 years. I don't think you can have a dynasty with a 5-year break. That's just my opinion. Geelong won 3 in 5 years. Brisbane won 3 in a row, or 3 in 4 years if you want to count their grand final appearance against Port Adelaide in 2004. So it's seemingly 3 is a dynasty, 1 is a One Cup wonder. So let's go to the teams that won 2. The Cup collectors. So you're thinking Adelaide, 97-98, West Coast, 92-94, and North, 96-99, if we want to look at just the one decade there. You could also look at the Bombers of 84 and 85, if you are so inclined, or even Carlton of 81-82, who took 5 years off before their 87 flag over the Hawks. So they're the kind of 3 categories I think we can put Premiership teams into. And as we sit right now, Collingwood are a One Cup wonder, which is not their fault because they haven't started their Premiership defence yet. So don't come at me, Collingwood fans. What you've got on your side, though, is where Collingwood rank in some key areas. And the key areas are age and experience. It's very difficult to grade them or compare them versus previous teams because of how much the game evolves seemingly every 5 years, let alone going back and comparing them to, say, a Brisbane or even an Essendon of 99, 2000 and 2001, even though they only won the one flag, which might be worth a deep dive in and of itself, but that might be another video, guys. So, age and experience, Collingwood rank really, really well. Their experienced players are some of their best, but they've got good youngsters as well, and that's the mix, that's the mesh that you want. You know, you think of Richmond, their experienced players were some of their best in their Premiership run, and they got outstanding performances from their youngsters. Now, it is very different between all of these previous sides because they don't have a Nick Dacos, for example, one of the best youngsters that we've seen. You'd probably only say a team like West Coast in 2006 with a Judd, but then, of course, you combine Cousins, Kerr, Cox, and you can expand it out as far as you like. I don't think there's a bigger Darren Glass fan who didn't barrack for West Coast during that time than me, but he deserves to be put into that conversation as well. But alas, we're going off on another tangent. This Collingwood team needs their experienced players, which is good. That's a good thing. Hawthorn were too old and too slow throughout their entire three-peat run. Hodge, Mitchell, Lewis, these guys were in their 30s or approaching 30. And Collingwood have got those guys as well. Yes, Pendlebury's 35, but he could honestly play until he's 54 at this point. When you look at their other guys that are over 30, okay, Mason Cox structurally is going to be more important than what he can actually do on the field, but Tom Mitchell is getting towards that point. Jeremy Howe is over the 30 mark, still side bottom as well, and if you don't think still side bottom had an impact in the grand final, you were watching the wrong bloody game. But although these guys are important, and yes, they are going to need to be very good contributors for this group to win another flag, they're not the be-all and end-all. They've still got guys, you know, your Jack Crisps, for example, who are very, very good. Your Isaac Quaynor, very, very good down there. And a smattering of others. Josh Dacos won their best and fairest, still very young. And Collingwood fans are going to get into the comments of this video going, you forgot A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I know. But what Collingwood have got on their side and why Collingwood fans deserve to be extremely excited at the moment is that their experienced guys are still their best, but they're not the only ones that contribute. And that is what every single club that went from a one cup wonder to a cup collector or even a dynasty team have got in common. That's it. Sometimes it really can be that simple. And then the question becomes, how many more flags do you think Collingwood can win? Now, what stops me from going, yep, this is going to be a dynasty side, is the fact that they don't have a tall forward outside of Brodie Myercheck, and he's nearly 30. So, are they going to be able to win the next two flags with Myercheck being their best forward and being 31, 32? That is the question that's kind of holding me back. The other questions, I don't really have at all. Will Collingwood win a flag in the next 2 years? I am more inclined to say yes than no. Is it going to be next year? Who knows? But Geelong didn't have to win them in a row. Geelong won 07, 9, 11. So you don't have to win back-to-back in order to set the foundation for being a dynasty team. So if Collingwood don't win the flag this year, then it's not that bad. If they don't get close to winning the flag this year, okay, we might have a little bit of a problem. Now again, I think these one cup wonder teams are insanely disrespected. Can you imagine winning a premiership? A premiership. And then going, yeah, but you only won one. Like, does that not sound ridiculous to you? Let's put it into a different context. Can you imagine winning the lottery? And then people giving you shit because it wasn't the right amount of money? Like, can you imagine winning 16 million in lotto and people that didn't win the lottery gave you shit for not winning like 50 million? Or only giving you shit for winning it once. Or you only won the lotto once. Big deal. And people haven't won one yet. Like, it's incredible to me how you can win a flag and then people go, well, go on then, win another. You know, it's the tall poppy syndrome that I think exists inside Australian fandom in quite a toxic way. I'm not going to lie to you. But they're doing very well, the Pies. And where I think they're going to thrive next year as well is they don't have a game plan that can be picked apart. So you think of the Bulldogs 2016, handball happy. What stopped them in terms of what other teams did? Not talking about internally, because that's none of my business, but observationally, teams hung back, let the Bulldogs pretty much take the ball into their forward half, and then bang, killed them on turnover. And they couldn't recover, and it took 5 more years for them to get back into premiership contention. Yes, they made the finals in 2020, but they lost to the Saints. I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way to the Saints, but like, they weren't really a contender, in my opinion, in 2020. So, that doesn't really count for me. The Eagles, the Weagles Web, in 2015, didn't work for them. They didn't become a one-cup wonder. In 2018, they were outstanding. They had Optus Stadium, which was the same dimensions as the MCG. They were able to import some of the things they'd done previously, put a little bit more speed onto the ball and get that midfield working beautifully, as well as a defense that just gave up nothing seemingly throughout, and they got over the line. What happened from there is possibly a little bit different, but for the couple of years afterwards, injuries did hit, but they didn't really have a big list turnover at that point, and we know that the Eagles have fallen off since then. And then Sydney in 2012 is a little bit different because they did lose in 2014-16, so they were a contender for a little while. But Hawthorn in 2008 went from a hugely uncontested game. Like, the Hawks didn't tackle, really. Unless it was Cyril, Hawthorn just didn't really tackle in 2008. And then as soon as 2009 started, yes, they should have beaten Geelong in round 1. Cameron Stokes was basically assaulted when Jimmy Bartel took that mark, or it should have been a draw. Sorry, because it was a draw when Jimmy Bartel lined up for that shot. But all that teams did that caused a change with the Hawks, yes, they had injuries. I don't care about that. I'm talking game plan. All other teams did was won the ball in the contest. Made Hawthorn go to them. And Hawthorn had a lot of blokes at that time that didn't really like going to the contest. With the ball, they still looked okay-ish. Without the ball, they looked inept. Which was crazy. But Collingwood don't really have that game plan where other teams are going to be like, oh, I don't know what we can take away from them, really. Because this is a team that plays from behind better than any other team that we've basically seen before. And that's going to be their edge. Teams are psychologically going to be like, is this lead enough? And Collingwood are going to be able to work their way back. Now, if you are going to take down the Pies, and this is a league-wide thing here, that it's going to have to take more than one side hanging on to their lead, or in fact, not letting them back in. So if you lead by, say, 28 points at three-quarter time against Collingwood in 2024, and you hang on and win by 4 points, it's really not going to seem like that big of a deal in like breaking them. But if you lead by 28 points at three-quarter time against the Pies this year and win by 42 points, and a couple of teams do it early, there's going to be some warning signs. The problem for all the non-Collingwood supporters out there is I don't think that's going to happen. I would be stunned if Collingwood didn't finish top 4 next year. I would be stunned if they didn't win a final next year. So they're certainly going to be in that contention status. Yes, teams like Brisbane, Carlton, GWS, whoever else you want to put into this contender category. Maybe you think more highly of a Port Adelaide or a Bulldogs or a Sydney than maybe I do at this point. Or an Adelaide, who even though I think can be a top 4 side, I still struggle to see how they're going to make a grand final. I just think they're going to make a massive leap this season. All of these things are true. But I think we've kind of forgotten the fact that they're still chasing one side. And Craig McRae is addicted to winning. He played in a three-peat side. He's not a, I won my flag, job done kind of operator. He's not. And Collingwood aren't that kind of operation either. But there is a sense of now or never. It does seem unlikely that in 5 years' time, this group are going to be able to win more flags. As in, it's going to be very unlikely for them to do what a Hawthorn did, which was win in 08, have 5 years off, and then win a flag. Or 4 years off, and then win a flag. Like, they need them now if they're going to be either a cup collector or a dynasty team. So, what do I think about this? Let's make some predictions. I think in the next 2 years, Collingwood are going to win another flag, at least. But I do struggle to put them in that dynasty category. Now, if Collingwood win the flag this year, that conversation changes. And it changes in a big way. So I still think they're a contender, but at this point in time, if someone said to me, this group under Craig McRae are going to win how many more flags? 0, 1, or 2 plus? My instincts right now say one more. And it's either going to be this season or it's going to be next season. But I do struggle putting this side in that dynasty category. I think if you take Nick out of the equation, their under-22 group doesn't inspire a whole lot of confidence yet, but the argument can be made that's because their experienced guys are flying. And the one thing that I think separates a Richmond at times, a Hawthorn definitely at times, is the way that they were able to cover depth at times throughout the regular season, throughout the finals. You know, Jed Anderson wasn't playing for the Hawks, but he was able to come in and play a role. Like, we got introduced to these guys, so are we going to be able to see more of, say, a Finlay McRae or an Ed Allen or these guys, Josh Carmichael? Yes. Are they going to be needed for a grand final? Hopefully not. Because if they are, it means experienced guys aren't playing, and that's where I think they might get in trouble. And that's why it is ridiculously lucky as well as talent to win a flag, which is why we deserve to put dynasty teams on a pedestal, but we deserve to put every premiership team on a pedestal. You need everything going your way for a significant period of time to set yourself up for grand final success. And I think the Pies can do it again. But I think outwardly saying they're going to win 2 or more, with this group largely the way they are, is just a bit of a stretch for me. But what do you guys think? Comment below, let me know whether you're a Collingwood fan or not a Collingwood fan. Do they win the 2024 AFL Grand Final? How many more premierships does this group win together? And what I mean by that is Pendlebury, Howe, side bottom, your over 30s. How many can these over 30s guys still win as a group? I'm still saying 1. If you think more or less, comment below, let me know. Subscribe to join the Daz Talks Footy family. Like the video if you like the video. Share with a Collingwood mate or a non-Collingwood mate if you want to bag on the Pies as well. I'm easy, but get involved down below. Can't wait to see you guys for the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.